Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by the nonstop pace of the modern world, or if you feel like you're just constantly competing but never truly arriving anywhere, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're unpacking some seriously profound yogic philosophies to completely challenge how we view success, competition, and the actual tangible power of your own attention. We're going to completely reframe our approach to the mind. We'll look at the stark difference between just hoarding information versus accessing true intelligence. And we'll discover why everything you thought you knew about focus might actually be the very thing holding you back.
Okay, let's just dive right in with a much-needed reality check. Seriously, are you acting like you run the planet? Because the fundamental truth we have to accept here is that we're actually just tiny creatures, here for a very short blip in time. The source material reminds us that the universe is just happening all by itself. We really need to stop making such a massive fuss about handling a few years of life and stop acting like we somehow control the entire universe. Think about it. If you can sit here and simply be a pleasant experience for yourself, everybody else around you is going to experience you as pleasant too. The rest of it, the great things you think you're going to achieve or not achieve, that's subject to a million different realities completely outside your control.
Section 1. Our place in the universe. Riding the weather. To actually experience life with all that agonizing pressure, we've got to understand our context. Our actions are largely dictated by the specific era we exist in, and those eras have their own distinct weather patterns. Which brings us to a fantastic quote from the text. If you learn to ride this weather gracefully, then people say you're a success. Think of life's constantly fluctuating circumstances as the literal weather of our times. Sometimes it's smooth sailing, and other times, it's incredibly rough. Just like a wave surfer whose ultimate dream is to gracefully ride a massive, terrifying 100-foot tsunami, knowing how to navigate the rough weather of our times is what makes a person truly successful. It's not about magically stopping the wave, it's about finding your balance on it and not creating a massive problem out of every single little fluctuation. Section 2. Information is not intelligence, mistaking the two. So here's a massive trap we fall into nowadays. Right now, as a society, we are completely mistaking information for intelligence. When you heap your mind with too much data, just hoarding endless facts and figures, you actually lose the ability to hold your attention. Your attention span becomes a serious problem. And here's the kicker. Once you lose your ability to hold attention, you block your access to real intelligence. You just end up churning out rote information from memory, instead of responding intelligently and dynamically to whatever is happening in the present moment.
The yogic system actually breaks the mind down beautifully into four main aspects, but let's contrast the two big extremes. On one hand, you have memory. Now, surprisingly, in this tradition, the memory part of the mind is considered the absolutely least important. It's essentially just a basic storage drive for mere information. But on the other hand, we have chitta, or consciousness. And this is considered the absolute most vital part, the fundamental basis of life-making itself.
And this is exactly why chitta matters so profoundly. The text says, mind is like a cloud, you can make it any shape. Because your consciousness is fueled by the fundamental life-making energy behind it. Whatever shape you mold this nebulous cloud of a mind into is exactly what's going to manifest in the physical world. You can mold it to be godlike, you can make a devil out of it, or you can make a pig out of it. Whatever shape you give your chitta is exactly what you are going to bring into reality. Section 3. The 5-minute mind test. Andrew Carnegie's test. Now, to ground all this abstract Eastern philosophy into a really tangible, high-stakes American business story, let's talk about Andrew Carnegie. Back before the tech era, Carnegie amassed just unbelievable wealth in a very short span of time through manufacturing. Honestly, it was so unprecedented that the US government basically thought, no way, he has to be cheating. And they actually set up a Senate investigation committee. After finding absolutely nothing wrong with his business, they basically demanded to know his secret. That led to Carnegie issuing a brilliant 5-minute focus challenge. And the result? Those esteemed US senators failed the test in mere seconds. Carnegie just looked right at them and said, I can keep my mind focused on something for 5 minutes at a stretch. Can any of you do it? The senators thought, well, what's the big deal with 5 minutes? But when they actually tried the experiment, their minds flitted around every few seconds. Carnegie proved that because they couldn't hold their attention, they lacked the basic mental control required to even be running the United States. And honestly, this is the exact fate of most human beings today. Our minds just bounce constantly from one thing to the next, constantly competing for distractions. Section 4. Life is not a race. Tremendous privilege. This inability to hold our attention, it largely happens because everyone is desperately competing for things, constantly looking over their shoulder at what the next person is doing. But the crucial point here is that life isn't a race at all. It's a tremendous privilege. We humans possess this unbelievable ability to experience life in vividly larger proportions than any other creature on this planet. We can experience our existence so much more deeply than, say, an ant or a grasshopper. That's the true significance of who we are. But instead of just enjoying this vivid privilege, we turn our existence into this relentless competition where we only feel happy if someone else is doing worse than us. I want you to take a second and really absorb this next stark reality. If life is a race, the finish line is the crematorium. Wow. Think about that. If you insist on treating your entire life like a race that you absolutely must win, you are, quite literally, just rushing to finish at the grave. Why on earth would you want to hurry to the end? It's a deeply sobering thought, and it completely dismantles this competitive rat race we've built for ourselves.
Section 5. The power of pure attention. Keying up intensity.
So how do we stop rushing to the end? We need a massive paradigm shift in how we engage with our daily reality. There's a major difference between focus and pure attention, and this might actually surprise you. We usually think of focus as the ultimate goal, right? But in the yogic view, focus is actually narrow and discriminatory. We only have to focus intensely on specific things because our general baseline of attention is so weak. If your attention was truly keen, you wouldn't need to narrow it down to focus on just one thing. True, pure yogic attention requires you to stop judging what's good, bad, nice, or useful, and just be super attentive to absolutely everything, indiscriminately. Just like when you're asleep. Without attention, neither you nor the world exist in your experience. Attention is literally everything. And this perfectly captures the ultimate goal of the whole yogic process. As the text notes, when light comes on, light is not thinking in terms of whom should I focus on. Everything will be seen. You want to continuously turn up the voltage of your internal attention so high that, exactly like a bright light bulb illuminating a dark room, you experience everything without bias. The light doesn't pick and choose what to shine on, it just shines. That is what keying up your attention to a higher and higher intensity actually looks like. Which leaves us with one final vital question. How will you turn up your voltage and spend your attention today? Instead of getting caught up in that competitive race to the finish line, or letting your mind act like a nebulous cloud just jumping from distraction to distraction, ask yourself how you plan to wield this incredible power of pure attention, starting right now. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your voltage high, and I'll catch you next time.